Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Once again, welcome to another live here this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we sure appreciate when you can come on live. We understand that not everybody can, of course, but this gets shared a lot during the day, and we turn these into the Doctors in podcast, of course, and Andrea, Brahim, let's see if Michael is there. And Michael, you guys, the top three, and Sandy, you're always near the top. From Fergus Falls, Minnesota, we appreciate you guys coming on. Madeleine, how are you? Kippawa, Quebec. Donna from Park Hill. And Nativity, good morning to you. And Lynn from Aurora. And Joanne, Berks Falls. And Rosa, Linda from the Kidneys of Canada. Wendy from Markham. And Nick from our staff. Fran, Orangeville. Kevin, all our dear friends, guys. Vanda, how are you from PEI? And Leela from Verner. And Gary from Bolton. And Jeanette, good morning. And John, Wyoming. And Barbara, Thetford. And Sharon from Kansas. Kristen from Saskatchewan, good morning. Milika from Stouffville. Carol, West Virginia. Bonnie, Little Britain, how are you? Marianne in London, Ontario. Dave from Cardiff. Yvonne from Petawawa. Norma from Texas. And Wanda from Virginia. And Cheryl, West Virginia. Jeanette, how are you? And Sue from Bolton, good morning. Etta, nice to have you on. Judy, Port Perry, you guys are unbelievable. Dave, how are you? Dave, Patricia, Diane, Thunder Bay, and Debbie from Sturgeon Falls, Elaine, St. John's, Newfoundland, Sandy, and Maureen, Penticton, BC, Donna, we appreciate you. Edith, how are you? And Johanna, and Laurie, Cambridge, good morning. Couple more. And Patricia's saying hi to everyone. Lynn from New Brunswick. Crystal from Regina, Saskatchewan. Donna from Bell Valley. Diane LaSalle. Linda, Uppsala. And Judy, good morning, guys. Thanks for coming on. Georgie, our friend from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Francis, Karen from Peterborough. Guys, it's like we are a big family, isn't it? Luella from West Tennessee. Arlene, Colleen from Wheatley. Karen, Sue, St. Marie. John, Elgin, Illinois. Mary, New Brunswick. And Donna saying hello to Arlene and Elaine. Cheryl. And Kathy, the sun is out. And guys, we love you dearly, okay? We love you dearly. Thanks for coming on. Hi, Marilyn from PEI. Okay, now I got my coffee cup up this morning. Okay, good for me, coffee. Okay. Coffee is good for you. You just can't get around it, guys. Another study, okay? 2 new studies on coffee, actually. And people think I'm biased, okay, about coffee. But guys, if you followed me for any length of time, you know I have been so consistent. When the naysayers were talking negative about coffee, like it's acidic, it'll dehydrate you, I said, nah, it's not. And the more they study, the more they prove I'm right about coffee. Look at the new ones, okay? Coffee drinkers, this is the headline. Coffee drinkers may be dodging cancer. especially upper neck and head cancers, okay, like esophageal cancer and brain cancers, are decreased by coffee. 14 studies, okay, they're analyzed 14 studies, and see the sweet spot? Scientists are finally catching up with the Doctor Is In podcast, okay? Why? Because we've been saying it for a year. What is the sweet spot for coffee, okay? How many cups of coffee is the sweet spot for coffee? I always said it. 4 cups a day, okay? That science is saying I was right about that. Guys, I used to tell people, look, I'm not a researcher, okay? I mean, I had to do some research when I did my PhD, but I'm not a researcher. I was a clinician. I had clinical studies. And I don't know if they're not the best. Meaning that you better get results, or you looked at results clinically. Okay? And I used to tell people 4 cups of coffee a day. That's the sweet spot. Now, what is the sweet spot for water? 2 liters or 64 ounces of water. That's the sweet spot. And the more research they do on it, the more they realize I was right about coffee and I'm right about water. It's a sweet spot. Now, you can have some more, or you can have a little bit less. All I'm telling you is research is actually proving what I've said. I like that. Okay. And it says, okay, 4 cups of coffee a day, 30% decrease in oral cancer. Okay? 22% decrease in throat cancer. And listen to this. By drinking tea, not so much. Okay? So when they put coffee up against tea, now you tea drinkers, okay? I love you. You know that. I like to tease you. I wrote a book years ago and I said, why drink tea when you can drink coffee? Okay? That's quoting in my book. Okay? I love teasing tea drinkers. But tea is all right. Tea's good for you, okay? But just not as good for you as coffee. I'm sorry. The jury is in. There's no doubt about that. Okay, but anyway, okay, so if you don't like coffee, I feel sorry for you. It's the real vitamin C. Now, okay, coffee drinkers may be dodging cancer. Here's how. Okay, one of the ways, and this was interesting too, scientists discover new anti-cancer function of telomeres. Now, remember what telomeres are? I mean, I actually wrote this in a book. Telomeres, think about it. We didn't even know they existed. When I was in school in the 70s, telomeres, never even heard of it. But our DNA has a wick-like substance on our chromosomes, okay? And it's like a candle wick. And the longer your candle wicks, okay, they did this in anti-aging medicine. The longer your candle wicks, the healthier you were. It was very anti-aging. They discovered this. We didn't even know they existed. And people have telomeres. Like it's unreal. The little wicks. The longer the wicks, the healthier you are and the longer you live. Okay? Now, listen to this. You know what coffee does? This is when they looked at these studies and coffee and the benefits, the longer your wicks are, the better it is to fight cancer. Okay? Now, coffee lengthens your telomeres. You get a longer wick by drinking coffee. So let me do it right in front of you. Okay. You got the memo on coffee? It's unreal, isn't it? We get a gift. I mean, who doesn't like drinking coffee? And it's so good for you. Okay. I love that. Okay, let's get to another one here. Okay, so those are the scientists discover new anti-cancer function of telomeres. We always knew it was good for aging, but we didn't know the importance of your telomeres when it comes to fighting cancer, and coffee helps. I like that. It lengthens your telomeres. Wow. Okay. Now, let me give you another headline here. Okay. People with chronic mental illness, like depression, okay, and schizophrenia, and bipolar, okay, die, okay, listen to this, I guess they have shorter telomeres, die 7 to 30 years earlier than the general population. So let me say it again. People suffering with chronic mental illness like depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, die 7 to 30 years earlier, according to new research. And you know what they die of? Okay, generally? Depression, schizophrenia, bipolar. This is a big clue, guys. They die of heart attacks. They die of heart attack. Not always, okay? But listen, I'm just giving you research. The main cause of death is heart attacks, not mental illness. Now, it's amazing to me. You guys know this if you followed me for any length of time. I got an honorary PhD in obituaryology, okay? I love looking at obituaries. I do. And my wife has given me an honorary degree in it, okay? From the University of Rosemary. She gave me an honorary degree. Why are you looking at those obituaries all the time? Well, I'm very interested, okay? I make sure I'm not in there, number one. But I'm very interested, okay? Now, I saw tens of thousands of people over the years, I don't know how many patients, probably 20, I don't know. So I'm always looking to see if I know people or whatever, of course. But I'm always interested, and one of the things that I've noticed, and I've mentioned this to you before, is the amount of young people that are dying. That really bothers me. Does it bother you? It bothers me. I see a young person, and, if they were dying of cancer or whatever, it'd be terrible, and it is. But you know what they're mostly dying of? Mental health problems. Suicides. And overdoses. Where I come from in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, it's like an epidemic. You just have to look at the obituaries. All the young people. And usually in the obituary, they'll put, donate to the mental health association or society or whatever. Okay? Anyway, that was sort of a little side pet peeve that I have. Mental health. But this study is saying that people that suffer with mental health physically, they're going to die younger. Okay? Not from fentanyl or not from suicide or anything like that. It's more from heart disease and the connection. Okay? The connection. And this is something that we have discovered in mental health. Remember the summer of 2022. I do this a lot. The summer of 2022 turned mental health upside down. Because research was showing that what we thought about mental health was wrong. Okay? Was wrong. And bipolar, for example, you know, and they said, well, bipolar, we got it wrong. It really has to do with energy and how the body is using energy and how the brain is an energy hog. And it wasn't able, in bipolar, the brain is swimming in fuel that it can't use properly. It's saturated. For example, you go and you swim in the Atlantic Ocean, but you're not drinking the water. You're surrounded by water, and water's good for you. But you can't drink the salted water, can you? And that's what they're saying about glucose. It's way too much. And our brains were never meant for that. And what they're showing now is the association between that energy being, the brain being flooded with glucose rather than burning ketones. I'll give you an example of that, okay? I'll give you an example that we've known since the 1920s. And that is, okay, in epilepsy. In epilepsy. This is well documented, guys. When I was in school in the 1970s, I learned this. Epilepsy, because there was no medications, okay, for epilepsy at the time. You know what they did? They put epileptic patients on a ketosis diet. What is a ketosis diet? It's a high-fat diet, no carbs, no sugars. Like the reset. That's a ketotic diet. Because you're changing fuels. Because when you limit your glucose, okay? So bread, pasta, rice, cereal, sugar, sweets, pastries, muffins, bagels, whatever. If you limit that, juice, grocery store milk, if you limit that, now your body has no choice but to burn a different fuel. You go to the gas station and you put fuel in your car, okay? But you don't put jet fuel in your car. Well, you could if you had a racing car. You put the high octane. Do you know what I'm saying, guys? So what we found out in the 1920s is that they literally had a treatment for epilepsy. What was the connection? The type of fuel, the brain, and they can literally fix epilepsy with a diet. And even to some extent it is used today, but it's rare. Because what happened? Well, the pharmaceutical industry came in. And they don't want a diet fixing anything. They want to give you a medication. And in mental health, they developed SSRIs, okay? The serotonin inhibitors, They wanted to, guys, you know what? Maybe you get temporary relief with us, but it doesn't fix the problem. It's a Band-Aid. I remember when they came out with the SSRIs, and it had a warning on them. Used temporarily. Okay? They were meant to be temporary Band-Aids. But today, they got people on these things for 20, 30 years. It was never meant to be. And they never talk about diet. But the research now is showing, and I'll give you another example in mental health. Okay? 2005. This is very important, guys. Alzheimer's. What did they call it? They won a Nobel Prize in medicine for it. Type 3 diabetes. What? Alzheimer's. Type 3 diabetes. That's what they named it. And man, I had a radio show in those days. Man, we talked about that every week on a radio show. That was hot off the press and big news. And I talked about the diet. Well, if that's true, and Alzheimer's is really type 3 diabetes, you see the brain swimming in the wrong fuel. Not only for epilepsy, but also for Alzheimer's, the deterioration of the brain, especially the hippocampus, the hippocampus, or whatever you call it, campus. Okay? And guys, that's significant. It's really significant. And like I said, the summer of 22, we flipped the mental health on its head. That was meant to be a pun. Do you know what I'm saying? But it was so incredible because they were talking about depression. And they, it wasn't a lack of Prozac. It was a fuel thing. And so what they're showing with this study is that people that have chronic mental health disorders, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's bipolar, whether it's depression, and man, look at the depression today. The stats are staggering. And the connection is that these people die of a heart attack many years younger than the general population. Heart attack. Well, Doc, what are you talking about? I thought you were talking about energy up in the brain, but I want to tell you about heart attack too. Think of a heart attack. What do I tell you guys all the time about your heart? The connection with your heart. How sugar is so destructive for the heart. Because sugar left unattended will destroy your blood vessels. And the connection between that and diabetes, guys, you really get diabetes of the brain. That happens first. And the cardiovascular happens after. Diabetes of the brain, it shrinks the brain. It damages the blood vessels in the brain. And sugar does that. And guys, I teach you this. The connection between your triglycerides and your cholesterol with your heart. You want to have low triglycerides and elevated cholesterol, especially HDL. And the world, we got it upside down because we're trying to hammer down cholesterol, and it has nothing to do with heart disease. Instead of hammering down sugar, which is destructive and causes plaque, and sugar destroys blood vessels, and it has a major effect on heart disease, because you're gonna have another way, elevated triglycerides and low HDL. It's amazing how the diet helps that when you change and you do the reset. Okay? Heart attacks. What's the connection? Okay? And yeah. Okay, listen to this. Okay, these are the connection between diabetes and depression. And schizophrenics 3 times more likely to develop diabetes. It's an energy thing. We learn so much more about energy and the brain and blood vessels and the heart, the connection between your brain and your heart. This ought to turn mental health upside down, but don't hold your breath. You know it. But medicine, they're so beholden to the pharmaceutical and the cholesterol craze and scam that I call it. They're beholden to it. It's hard to change that. And that's why I aim at you guys to get you educated, to get you thinking, to get you aware. Well, you know what? You can change your diet. You can change your diet. And the problem isn't depression or anything else, is to get patients to conform, or patients to do it, to change their fuel. It's not easy. But isn't it better if you understand that? And that you get the memo on that? So Alzheimer's and depression and schizo and, obviously epilepsy, but even neurodegenerative diseases, guys, like Parkinson's and MS. There's a huge connection to fuel. Change fuels. Your body wasn't meant to live on carbs. I know they tell you that, but that ain't true. Your body wasn't meant for that. Your body was meant to burn the right fuel. Your brain will thank you. Your brain will thank you. Your heart will thank you. Yeah, the fat is good for my heart. Yeah. Eggs are good for my heart, dog? Yeah, really good for your heart and brain. Meat? Absolutely. And the more fat in the meat, the better it is. Chicken, all right? Yeah, you can eat chicken, but I would rather you have the fatty meat. Fat is good for you. Protein is good, of course. But you see how God gave you protein? He gives it to you mostly surrounded by fat. Eggs, protein and fat. Meat, protein and fat. Cheese, dairy, protein and fat. Very little carb. That's nature. Okay? And you can have some plants. You want the plant kingdom? You like your fruits and vegetables? Well, do the reset, and then you can have some fruits and vegetables. I always just tell people, here's the rule of thumb. Don't live on it. You're not meant to. You want fuel. okay? You want the right fuel. It's amazing. And the brain, remember now, okay, brain is an energy hog. Whatever you eat, guys, your brain is like the federal government. It's going to get taxes first, okay? So whatever you eat, think about it, 20 to 25% goes up to the brain. It says, come here, you owe me, okay? So whatever you eat ends up in your brain. Don't you think that's important, that we make the right choices? And that's why I see kids, and I had cookies and ice cream too, okay, when I was a kid. Well, we didn't see the ADD and well, we had it, I'm sure, but I never seen it like we have it today. Why? Well, kids are canaries in the coal mine, and they weren't meant to consume a dump truck load of sugar and things that turn to sugar rapidly. And then you put in these crazy seed oils. My word, our brains are swimming in bad fuel. Your brain wasn't meant to swim in that. It's an energy hog. Give it the right energy. It'll burn much better. Okay? Remember, I used to use the illustration in my office all the time. I'd show them a picture of a wood stove, and I said, oh, you're heating your house with this, okay? Energy. You got a log cabin, and you got newspaper, and you got logs. Which one do you want to heat you can use a little bit of newspaper to start your fire and maybe some twigs, guys, but you want to burn logs, don't you? Yeah, I don't know much, but I know that. That's your brain, guys. It wants the better fuel. It wants logs. When you eat an egg, you're giving it a log. When you eat meat, especially red meat, you're giving it logs on your brain. Cheese, dairy, okay? Logs. Cream, butter, logs. Bread, newspaper. Pasta, newspaper. Okay? Oh, Doc, it's a whole grain bread. I got to have my oatmeal for breakfast. No, you don't. You're giving it a newspaper. Your brain gets a newspaper, not a log. Got it? Okay, guys. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys. I hope you're having a great week with us. Okay, now, Friday is what? Q&A. Okay, sometimes it's Q&A Monday. Most times it's Q&A Monday too now. We're getting so many questions. And I get off on tangents, and I go down rabbit trails answering your questions, but that's just me, guys, okay? That's just me. But I do end up answering your questions, don't I? Now, we want to hear from you. So use that email, info@martinclinic.com. Info@martinclinic.com. Okay, we'll answer your questions. We love you dearly, sincerely. Talk to you soon.